Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So tonight I'm going to do a topic. I'm going to talk about like my challenges of talking slow, especially being autistic. So let's get right to it. Remember to subscribe and like my videos and subscribe to my YouTube channel and also share my videos, guys. So, you know, I always say for one thing, it's extremely challenging to do videos like these because for me especially because a lot of times if I want a person to hear me, I have to speak slow. And whenever I realize, growing up and things like that, whenever you're doing that, when you're talking in front of persons or, at college when you're doing presentations and you're talking in public or you're doing interviews and things like that, one of the things that is really the key is if you're a fast talker is how fast you speak. A lot of times when you speak, for me especially, I've noticed when I grew up, I had to look into it. I mean, it wasn't really a big deal at first because for me, talking fast is natural. But then after a while, it started to become problematic. And then most persons I run into every time I would talk, I always hear this saying, you talk too fast, you talk too that. So then it took me a while, but then after what I keep hearing persons saying that, I'm like, ugh. So then I'm like, so the only way y'all going to hear me if I speak slower? I was just like in my mind, and then I started to look into myself and look into that. I said, you know what? Having a weakness, I'm not able to talk slow. It's problematic because not many persons are very good in keeping up when you're speaking fast. Some persons, when you keep repeating, I learned this that it gets tiresome, and then after they black you out, which I'm just like, I look at them like, oh, if that is true, we better just, tune you out and things, then I can't afford that. So I guess I'm just gonna have to learn to start slower. Especially I'm going to do videos like these on my YouTube channel. So at the time when I realized I was speaking fast, I didn't really think about doing YouTube at that time, you know, because the way I was speaking at that time, it wouldn't make any sense. I do YouTube at the time, even if I knew I could do a YouTube channel. So I would have to work on my speaking before I even get to that point. No, as I go along, I learned that, for me, I am capable of talking slow. It's just that, that I realize it's practice. Everything takes practice, everything takes time. I mean, it's easy to get impatient with yourself and just get frustrated. It's like, ah, can't bother. But patience is the key, and patience is like a virtue. So if you know how to be patient in any situation that you face, that really goes a very long way. One of the reasons I realize is, despite the challenges, is that when it's absolutely necessary for me to talk slow and things like that, I will absolutely pull it off. No, that's if I'm not too, you know, nervous or anxious or excited, whatever. Because if I get too anxious, then it's almost like the talking pace increase. I think once I notice, don't as I think about it, one of the key things for me in order to talk slow is my composure. If I'm not too nervous or if I'm confident and I'm composed and I'm comfortable. If I feel comfortable, even doing pressurizing situation, then chances of me talking slow is slim. Like, for example, if I do a testimony, I've noticed, that I can think about it. For whatever reason, every time I do testimonies, I always seem to talk slow when I do testimonies. But then outside of that, it's like no holds barred. Anything goes basically. So, as I say, it's like when I do testimonies or when I do presentations and interviews, whatever, when it's really absolutely necessary, it's almost like I do well when all eyes on me because that's the time where it's really, really positively necessary for me to talk slower. I could afford to talk fast rather than then. especially when that person is watching you and they're listening to you and the eyes are on you. Now, when you're talking in public, like at school or whatever, and you're at devotion and you want to talk, at other times you're going to let more than one person there. It's one thing you have one person talking to one person and they listen to you. It's another you have one of the persons, or let's say, I'll say, give a number, like 15 persons, for example, is watching you talking about whatever you talk about. And I've learned that think about it, talking, being able to talk slow is really important because when you know how to talk slow, it really doesn't matter how much people is watching you or listening to you, you know. And the persons who talk fast, if you're not really good in talking in front of, slow in front of other people, I say, start slow at first, try to just go talk with just one person. I can tell you one thing, if you know how to talk slow with just one person, and then wake you up, try talk with two persons, see if the two persons get what you're saying, and take it from there. And then just wake you up. I think confidence matters. When you feel confident in yourself that you can talk slow no matter how many people there, then chances you cracking under pressure when they're watching you is very low and having that experience really goes a long way. For me to be able to talk slow despite the testimonies of persons, whether it's online or face to face, because I think first is because of God's help, and number two because of my experience, because I've done several testimonies where I had spoken for the persons. So then it's not really that nerve wracking. It may be a little bit, but not much. I mean, it's one of those things that's very challenging and still challenging to me to this day. I think one of the reasons why made me decide to really work on it more is after I did my really caught my attention is after the testimonies and after I did my radio interview, especially my first. After doing my first radio interview and watch the interviewers say what they said, I mean, they were making me listening to, well, there were technical difficulties. As I said, if I was saying anything, it was like technical party. As I said, guys, it's just, I couldn't hear. No. Others who were listening to it audio wise, and they really could hear it, but when I was on the phone, I couldn't hear it because of the technical issues. But nevertheless, I listened to it in the aftermath, and for the interviewer to say, what speech therapy? I mean, I think that was one of those moments where I spoke well, and I gotta say, just like they were asking some questions that I didn't really see coming, they had no idea the challenges I had to go through to the speaking, But just that particular interview and the other one, two interviews I did, I showed that I'm very capable of talking slow when absolutely matters most. So since then, it made me be confident enough. I motivate myself to keep trying and keep practicing it, especially that I'm considering being a motivational speaker and things like that. So one of the only issues I have is speaking. If I get a speech, the slow talking locked. Yo, I would say for me personally, it would be something, that's for sure. When a lot of times able to realize is what I'm trying to work on talking so because whenever I'm having a conversation, whether it's one person or multiple persons, I'm trying to keep person as engaged as possible. And I can't do that if I'm talking too fast. It'll get frustrating after a while because it's not easy. Even if the person starts to me multiple times, it's not very easy getting used to talking to the person who talk fast and things like that. So knowing this, for the most part, I just try and talk as slow as I can. So, I mean, most persons who know me would know that I talk fast. I'm a natural fast talker. And it doesn't take long to pick that up either. If, all you have to do is just pay attention, most person know this about me already, especially if they're running to me and having a conversation. A lot of times, sometimes I would say, listen, if I'm talking too fast, let me know. Because there are times where I'll start fast. I would say one thing, I talk fast to a point sometimes where you might not even hear a word I said, which I've heard multiple times in my lifetime that, man, I don't hear a word they say. You know? So sometimes I would say to the person, listen, if I'm talking too fast, let me know. Try to slow me down because sometimes I'm not aware of it a lot of times. Heck, I could start talking slow. Next thing you know, I just like that. That's how fast I talk. Sometimes it really doesn't matter how. No, for the most part, it really depends on how I start talking though. So the key I realize is just start talking slow. But then the question is, can I start slow throughout? And it does really get to the point where I may need to consider myself, challenge myself to try to talk like a week without talking fast. That's not, if I, like, talking, starting slow really, starting small is something important. So if I were to challenge myself in that regard, I would start try go out there without talking fast first. And then work my way up to month and say like that, because month, yo, for me especially, that'll be difficult as heck. But like I said, when it really matters most and it's absolutely necessary, my talk will be up there. That's for sure. That's if I'm not nervous or anything else like that. This is the end of my YouTube channel. Remember, subscribe to my YouTube channel and click on the notification for upcoming videos. Have a good night.